Welcome to QLM Business News. And now for today's news stories. UK awards 9 new offshore wind farm projects in latest green energy push. The UK government has awarded contracts for 9 new offshore wind farm projects, marking a significant step forward in its green energy ambitions after last year's auction failed to attract any bidders. The contracts, part of a wider initiative that also includes tidal and solar power projects, aim to provide enough electricity to power the equivalent of 11 million UK homes, according to government statements. While the announcement has been welcomed by many as a boost for the renewable energy sector, some experts have raised concerns about whether the new projects will generate enough capacity to meet the UK's ambitious renewable energy target set for 2030. The government awarded a total of 131 contracts to companies across various green energy sectors on Tuesday, which are expected to generate 9.6 gigawatts (GW) of renewable energy. Among the new projects are Europe's largest and second largest wind farms, Hornsea 3 and Hornsea 4, both of which will be built off the Yorkshire coast by Rystad, a Danish energy giant. The contracts are a significant boost for the UK's offshore wind sector, which had struggled to attract interest in last September's auction. At the time, industry leaders criticised the Conservative government for failing to offer competitive guaranteed prices for the electricity generated, amid rising construction costs due to inflation. Keith Anderson, CEO of Scottish Power, called the recent auction a sign that offshore wind is back on track after last year's misstep. He emphasised the importance of investment in UK manufacturing and said the contracts would help the sector get back up and running, while also allowing the government to meet its critical decarbonisation targets. Scottish Power's parent company, Iberdrola, secured new contracts to expand capacity at its East Anglia offshore wind farm. Challenges ahead for meeting 2030 targets. The Labour government has set an ambitious target of producing 60 gigawatts of energy from offshore wind farms by 2030. However, the contracts announced this week provide only 4.9 gigawatts of capacity, highlighting the gap that remains in achieving this goal. Pranav Menon, a research associate at Aurora Energy Research, said that while the new contracts represent progress, they still fall short of the pace required to meet the ambitious target set by the government. He pointed out that next year's auction may represent the last chance to secure the additional 31 gigawatts needed to reach the 60 gigawatts target by 2030. Some of the contracts awarded on Tuesday had previously been secured in 2022, with companies rebidding to obtain better prices for the electricity generated. Greenpeace UK echoed these concerns, with political campaigner Amy McCarthy warning that the government strategy requires urgent revision. 5 gigawatts of offshore wind is certainly welcome, but it is only about half of what is needed each year to meet the 2030 target, she said. She described the last auction as of a catastrophic failure and the biggest disaster for clean energy in nearly a decade. Government response and energy independence. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband acknowledged the challenges but remained optimistic, claiming the new government had inherited a broken energy policy, but that these results show that together, this government and the energy industry are securing investment into our country. He described the auction results as a significant step forward towards achieving energy independence and lowering consumer bills in the long term. The announcement comes as households in the UK brace for higher energy costs, with typical bills expected to increase by 10% later this year. The energy regulator, Ofgem, has raised the cap on gas and electricity prices, meaning that from October, the average annual bill will rise by £149, bringing the total to £1,717 for those using an average amount of energy. The UK remains committed to reducing its reliance on imported energy and lowering consumer costs over time, but the path to achieving these goals is expected to be challenging. The government and industry stakeholders will need to work closely to meet the targets and secure a more sustainable energy future for the nation. This news story is brought to you by QLM Business News, your digital media channel. Visit qlmbusinessnews.com for more business news stories. Also follow us on Facebook, X, and YouTube. To help QLM Business News bring you more news stories like this, please like, share, and subscribe.